Tonight's curiosity is lubricated by Irish Red Ale from Nonsuch Brewing in Winnipeg. Very little in the way of tasty notes, just smooth, malty, and cola? I did not expect cola to be part of the description of my beer. Doesn't taste like it, but it kind of has that color a little bit. Interesting beer. Anyway, that's not the main focus of today's explorations. What we're here for is to look at this little laser stage lighting unit that I got at a thrift store for $6.50. I'm hoping that it works, or at least there's salvageable components inside it. Unfortunately, it did not come with a power supply, and it uses this tiny little coaxial connector, which is much smaller than the common, those 5.2 millimeter ones that we usually find. So I don't know what voltage it is, and of course I don't have an abundance of connectors kicking around like that one. But what I do have is this little adapter set. So I'm hoping that one of these adapters will fit that. It's not that one. That one doesn't quite fit. There we go, the smallest one. Of course it's the smallest one. But I still don't know what voltage and what polarity. But we're getting closer. I guess we can look at the controls on the back of the thing. It's got a motor controller potentiometer. It's got a music or auto button there. Appears to be a fan behind that. Strobo flash controller, and then this 3-position switch. Strobo flash or on or off. Position 3 is off. All right. So I found similar units on eBay, AliExpress, Banggood, all the usual suspects over the years, and I never bought them because they were moderately expensive for what they are. This one at $6.50. I think I can make enough money off the ads on this video to pay for that, so it's not going to hurt me. But let's go and see if we can find one of these online and see if it'll tell us what the power requirement is. After a surprising amount of searching, there are other laser projectors that look more like these ones down here, but this is the same one that I've got, just in a different color. And it looks like it does all kinds of fancy things if it works. And they do usually come with a power pack. Does it say what the power pack is? Not there. Okay, that's easy. 5 volts, 1 amp. Right. But what polarity? We'll figure that out in a minute. Anyway, it looks like it's got a red laser, 650 nanometers, and a green laser at 532 nanometers. Okay. Anything else that we need? So from the factory, it came with a manual, which I didn't get, an AC adapter, which I didn't get, stand tripod, which I did get, and the projector party laser lighting itself. Right. I'll put a link to this down below in case anyone's interested. I don't know whether you will be or not by the time this video is done, but we shall see. So this thing's got a bunch of screws on the front and back and some more on the bottom. I'm going to, so there's a separation line there, and then we have 2 screws on the top and 2 on the bottom at the front and the back. So I'm going to guess that if I take the screws off the top and bottom, or off the top anyway, I should be able to open the shell of the thing up and see what's inside it, and hopefully trace the wiring a little bit to figure out what the polarity is. Yeah, that just pops off. Nice. Then we have a view of the interior, which is not all that impressive. Hey, it's got optics and stuff up here. I'm going to guess that this and this are the 2 lasers. There is a little half mirror, prism, half mirror, I guess. This one bounces off it as a mirror, and this one goes straight through, probably. And then this would be the motor alluded to by that back there. So I'm guessing that there's some kind of a diffraction or whatever inside here that gets moved around and splits the beams around and stuff like that. We'll find out in due course. And we have the fan and the main circuit board back here, and these pins are not very well plonked down onto the board. I guess they're making an adequate contact. So let's see what we've got here. Ooh, that nut in there is almost off its screw. Let's tighten that back up. That goes through the corner of one of the fans. It probably wouldn't be good if that fell out inside and rattled around. I think if I take 2 more screws out, I'll be able to get at the circuit board and then try and figure out what's what on that board. Looks like I do have to undo that screw that I just tightened back up that holds the fan in place in order to remove the board properly. Actually, 3 of the 4 fan screws hold the board in place, and they've got little spacers in there as well. That's the other one down there, which is the one that I just tightened. Then I can get at the circuit board proper. Alright, taken apart further than I expected to, but whatever. So the fan is a 5-volt fan. That confirms what we saw on the listing. And the red wire is positive. So, with that, we should be able to plug this in here, bring in a meter, and where are the fan wires? There's the fan wires over there. Positive one is that one. Let's just pop that right off. Positive one's that one. So where does that show up on my polarity over here? Neither? Oh, is that turned off? There we go. So that is positive there. Oh, which is conveniently the one that's marked positive on this adapter. Okay. I suppose I could have guessed, but you like to be sure. Even though this is a cheap thing and I'm not too concerned about killing it, it is nice to be sure, just in case you want to play with it. So I've taken a couple of minutes and just poked around on the circuit board. I'm not going to bother drawing up a full schematic of it. There's not that much going on here, really. DC power comes in here. There's a couple of capacitors there and some optional ones there. A little protection diode there. We have 4 transistors, one there, one there, one there, and one there. Oh, they're all Y1, which are NPN transistors. This one switches on and off the red laser. That one switches on and off the green laser. That one switches on and off the motor. And this one switches on and off the fan. All fairly straightforward so far. Then there's a chip in the middle, which originally I thought might be a microcontroller or something, but no, it's a 74HC04D, 7400 series logic chip. Specifically a hex inverter. That's a little surprising. But I guess this is a fairly basic thing, and we're just mostly just turning things on and off. So yeah, that's all it's doing is just straight up logic. You put a logic high in, you get a logic low out. You put a logic low in, you get a logic high out. And there's 6 of them in the package. That's the extent of the intelligence, if you want to call it that, inside this circuit. So all we've got going on here really is a motor speed control there. Either music or audio triggering there. Is one of those transistors amplifying the microphone? No, the microphone appears to just go straight to one of the inverter inputs. So I wonder if it's a microphone with a bit of a preamplifier built into it or something. All it really needs to do is give a high or a low to turn stuff on or off. It doesn't need to do anything else. So that, if I'm following this right, could be what's going on there. And this is kind of hard to follow. I have trouble with these double-sided boards where the traces disappear underneath chips and underneath components. There's vias coming up that are underneath the switch and underneath this pot here. Who knows where they go? I suppose I could spend hours and hours and hours with my meter ringing everything else out, but that's not really what I'm interested in doing in here. I just wanted to see what's going on and figure out the polarity so that I could power it up. So let's put it a little bit back together and then power it on and see what kind of an effect we can get. And with that back together enough, I'll plug in some power from my power supply and see what it does. So 5 volts, 1.5 amp current limit. Not drawing any power right now because of course the switch is turned off. Switch on and, oh hey, I've got dots. Does that make it easier to see? I have a little laser grid pattern on there. So if I turn the microphone on and make some noise, you can see that flash is on and off. That's cool. Let's flip it to strobe mode. Okay. And we will adjust the knob for Strobel Flash controller. Okay. It's just flashing on and off, and there's maximum speed, there's minimum speed. And I can hear the fan motor changing speed. I'm not sure if you can hear this or not, but when that goes to max brightness, the fan motor slows down. Can you hear that? That's a little unexpected. Let's try this motor controller here. So I would expect that to make the grid rotate. The motor controller at lowest speed, nothing happens. With maximum speed, I can actually hear that fan being abused. I'm just going to disconnect that motor because I don't think it's doing anything. Oh no, that's the motor that's making noise. Okay. It's trying to do something weird. But I don't see it actually having any effect on the pattern there, though. I think you may have to take that motor out and see what it's up to. It is just on that plug there, and just 2 screws. Okay, that should be pretty painless to take out. I'm going to assume that's also a 5-volt motor, because everything else in this thing is. I'm not sure if you can read that or not, but this motor is branded Dongsui, something like that. On the front, there is, looks like a little piece of lens or something with some frosting behind it, and it appears to turn. I'm not feeling any gear resistance or motor resistance behind that. I wonder if there is something wrong inside there. Let's reconnect it, noting that the polarity is marked there, positive on the left, negative on the right. And without that lens assembly, we've just got the 2 lasers there and there. So this one over here on the side is that laser up there, and this one back here is the brighter one going straight through. So the one bouncing off the mirror is the dimmer one, which I guess makes sense. And it's hard for me to tell with my colorblind eyes, but I'm going to guess the brighter one is the red one and the dimmer one's the greener one. Please weigh in the comments. Anyway, this thing is not doing anything. This motor is not turning or anything up here. So I guess I have to do some more diagnosis. And this has the potential to go horribly wrong if these gears all go springing out of here or something. So wish me luck. There's a seam on the gearbox. Gently, gently. Okay. So yeah, this lens is supposed to rotate. And when I was able to manually rotate it before, I suspect it was sitting on top of there because I couldn't feel any backlash or resistance from those gears. Let's power this back on and see if the motor spins. Yes, it definitely does. And where's that knob? Oh yeah, we can slow it right down and speed it right up. Okay, so I think we just had a mechanical problem there. Drop that lens in there. I'm going to hold it in place, yeah. And see it rotating. Okay. Okay, and plug that back into the board again. Positive on the left. Now let's see what happens. So it looks like with that slightly off spot lens, when it gets around to one side, it goes down to a single point. Let's go faster. Let's go slower. Actually, that looks like it's almost turning backwards, huh? Okay. So I'm thinking that that little piece of plastic that was sitting in front of the lens is actually important and is off its spot from where it should be. So I think I'll take this back apart again and put that in front properly like I think it should probably maybe be. I'm not sure. I've never had one of these apart before. That said, Big Clive had a similar but internally quite different one apart a few years ago that I found. I'll link to that video down below if I can find it. Not quite sure what's supposed to be going on there, although this is fairly well secured in place. I don't think it has slipped. I think it is actually intended to be glued on at that wonky angle. Oh, maybe not. It is kind of rotating a little bit to line back up with the square that's sitting underneath it. I don't know. Is that fogginess supposed to be there? Like I said, I'm kind of out of my depth when it comes to these optics things. I'm going to guess that this probably shouldn't be the way it is, but I don't know how it is supposed to be. Maybe I've broken it, maybe I'm getting closer. There appears to be two different pieces of lens material, if you can call it that, in here. This kind of goopy, sticky goo holding it in place. Not what I would expect for a glue. This may be ill-advised, but I'm going to take a little bit of alcohol and cleaning swab to them and get the that adhesive goo off them anyway, so they're not cloudy anymore. And then we'll see what happens next. I can't guarantee any particular results here. I'm sure there's somebody who's screaming at their phone right now, or their computer, or whatever they're watching this on, but may I remind you that this is something that I got for $6.50 at a thrift store, so there's no great loss if this goes completely sideways. So I've just dropped these two lenses into here at about a 45-degree angle from each other, and there's a little bit of glue residue left from before, but I don't think that's enough. So I'm going to have to do something else to hold them in place. And I think that something else is going to be this transparent UV resin that I got several mail bags back. And I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but that's what I am going to do. I'll just use one of these micro brushes to just get the tiniest little amount of this UV glue just into the margins here. I think that should be enough, and I don't want too much because I don't want it getting into the works and gumming that all up. So hopefully that should be enough. We shall see when it hardens. So now let's toss this guy back in here and see what it does. Okay, so it's different. Maybe those two grates were supposed to be a little bit less aligned with each other. Let's see what happens when you go into the flashing mode. Ooh, wow, disco-y, woohoo! Well, I suspect that is probably a much more impressive... I'm going to turn that flashing mode off. I expect that's going to be much more impressive at distance in a dark room. Let's just try that. Now, without getting too carried away, this is shining across my room that is maybe 12 feet away, 10 feet away, something like that, which is, what, 3-ish meters, something like that. In a darkened disco-type environment, dance floor, that might actually be kind of effective. Huh. That's kind of nifty. Yeah, that's sort of up on the ceiling and the wall over there. For the price I paid for this, $6.50, I'm not mad at it. Had I paid $20 or more, I might have felt a little bit underwhelmed, but for what it is, I think it's not too horrible. Would I have loved to have this to go with my cheapest disco of 1979 that I had going on in my parents' basement? Oh, absolutely. Having lasers would have been amazing. But yeah, I think this is kind of a neat, fun thing. Let's just shut it off while I reassemble it. There is, as I said, the more impressive one, which has more patterns and more colors of laser and stuff like that. And I will link to Big Clive's examination of that one. There's no reason for me to retread his steps on that. Other than that, I hope you found this interesting. And that's always what I'm trying to do with these Curiosity teardown videos. It's right there in the name, Curiosity. Mostly satisfying mind, but if you're curious about these things too, I hope you got something out of that. Anyway, I will continue putting this thing back together again, and hope you enjoyed that. Questions, comments, as usual, down below. I will talk to you later.